Ben is a beautiful example of a man who was able to change male mentality. He reframed his understanding of what's important in life, what his priorities are, how he wanted to conduct himself and behave, owing to a huge trauma.
Everyone claims the phrase, but fun is our Trojan horse for men's health to get engaged. And Movember was born in a pub. We spend a lot of time where men are, and where men are socialising. And pubs are one great way of doing that. Sports grounds are another great way. So where men are interacting and comfortable is where we try to be as well. We get guys in that comfortable place that then we can seed in the really important stuff and break down those barriers and get guys thinking about their health and talking about their health. And men don't talk like this one-to-one, face-to-face. Guys talk shoulder to shoulder. I got into it in a very, very direct way. 10 years ago, almost to the day, actually, Tuesday, 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. And on the Friday before the bank holiday weekend, and then I had my testicle removed on the Tuesday, so it's 3 days later. So it was a very quick process, and I didn't know anything about Movember at the time. I was 26, and I was riding motorbikes. I'd just come back from ski season. I was working in London as a headhunter in the financial services, earning great money, and it was all lovely, and I was bulletproof, and was enjoying life, and then was kind of struck down, for want of a better phrase, with this disease, and given the diagnosis that in my mid-20s I had cancer. At that point, I pretty much shut down, and I speak to a lot of guys that have been diagnosed with testicular cancer in a young age as well, and it's pretty consistent that for that sort of next half hour, whatever's being said to you, you're just trying to deal with the fact somebody's just told you you've got a life-threatening disease. Utter shock and fear and just disbelief and just wondering whether, is that it? Is that my number? Am I going to die? So I got it again, which was a shame. So 3.5 years later, so the first time I just had a testicle removed, and they just whipped it off and sent me on my way, and I had follow-up scans and CT scans and blood tests every month, things like that. But I was depressed for probably a year. I couldn't acknowledge that I'd changed and I was not being myself. I was clearly depressed, but couldn't see it myself. But everyone else around me could see it, and they were really fighting hard to try and make me see it, but I just wouldn't. That caused a lot of stress and pain, and I wasn't a particularly great person to be around then, but managed to kind of pull myself out of that somehow without any real help or intervention from anyone. And there was no support, right? There was nobody was knocking on the door saying, Ben, you're 26, you've been diagnosed with cancer, how are you doing? We've just removed your testicle. Yeah, and there's no structure within the healthcare services to engage that. There's no real gender lens on men's health within the healthcare, so nobody's there saying, you go and see your consultant, and he shakes you by the hand, checks your testicle that's left, looks at your blood results and says you're fine, see you next month, get on with your life. And the first thing one of my friends said was, mate, I've got testicular cancer, I'm going to have an operation next week. And he was like, oh man, that's really bad. You're going to be all right though? I was like, yeah, I'm not going to die. I was like, okay, cool. And he was like, when can I take the piss? I was like, oh, well, now's great. So we went through a whole load of ideas about whether I could get a prosthetic that lit up, or when you hit it, or that played a tune, or different shaped ones and squares and just all sorts of stupid stuff. But it was great because it helped me sort of take my mind off it, and it sort of made it less, if you can laugh about it, it's not as bad. Because if it's funny, how can it be scary? If it's funny, it can't hurt you. Right? I think there's some sort of mental processing around that. So they basically said that it's up to you, but we can sit and monitor this and give you time to try naturally for children, or we can do something now, but we'd probably, as we can't conclusively say what it is, you might want to think about just getting on with trying to have a family naturally. So we did, and that was sort of October, November time. And luckily in February, my fiancée fell pregnant, and then
Wow.
yeah, which was pretty insane.
That must have been a relief.
Yeah, it was just bonkers. That one, the nut I had left wasn't a great performer. Anyway, the swimmers weren't great. There wasn't high motility. There weren't great numbers. It wasn't exactly on its A game, but managed to step up somehow under the pressure. And it's such a weird. It's not even a science. Children. It's just nobody really knows what's going on. It's just a blessing, really. So that all happened, and then she fell pregnant in February. We got married in March, and came back from honeymoon and went back to see the doctors. And I'd had scans throughout that period, and it was growing. The lump was growing, but still nothing else to sort of suggest. But they were like, right, we kind of need to do something. So they knocked me out, sent me down to theatre, and I woke up and they told me straight away. They're like, we did a biopsy whilst you were under. It was cancer, so we've removed your whole testicle. And I was very lucky, special, not lucky, special. I forget that word wrong. Yeah, they're like, we don't see this. 30 years of being a doctor, my specialist had never seen it before. So cancer didn't hurt me. I went into hospital healthy, right? Young, healthy, fit, active. Cancer wasn't stopping me doing anything. It wasn't making me sick. It would have done. It would have killed me if we'd left it, but it wasn't hurting me. Chemo destroyed me. So it's indiscriminate in terms of a treatment. It just kills everything it can, and the hope is that it kills the cancer before it kills you, I guess. It's kind of the weird logic. But what it means is that it makes you feel sick. It's like, the best way to describe it for me is take the worst hangover you've ever had, like the one where you thought the world was over, multiply it by about 1,000, and draw that out for 4 months non-stop. And that kind of starts to come close to how chemo makes you feel. And everyone has different reactions to it. Everything about it is trying to break you down, both physically, because the chemo is destroying, making you feel sick. I couldn't open cans with my fingers because they were too painful, lost all my hair, had tinnitus in my ears, couldn't walk more than like 100 meters down the road, sort of in the middle of it. It's just gets really on top of you, and because of that, mentally it just destroys you. It's just trying to destroy you. Chemotherapy, to me, I really took it as a challenge. It was like, right, you're trying to fuck me up. You're trying to win this fight, and I'm not having it. It's like, you tell me what I've got to do, I'm just going to do it. So I just got in that mindset. It was like, whatever you throw at me, I'm going to beat you. I'm not giving in to you. And at one point I did give in, and I thought I came out of my second big session of chemo. I wanted to take my chances with cancer. I thought it can't be as bad as this. But yeah, through the help and support of loved ones, and they're saying, look, you can do it. You're doing, you're already halfway through. You've only got 5 more sessions to get through. You can do it. And you're like, okay, yeah, I can do it. And you just sort of pick up the courage and that drive and determination just to get through it. The chemo worked, and I got through it, and 4 weeks after I finished my chemo, I ran a 10K, which was bloody stupid. Yeah, which was just bloody stupid, looking back, because nobody wanted me to do it, because they thought it was too soon. I was pushing myself too hard, and I probably was. But
what was going on in your head? I just need to do something.
Just needed to prove I was okay, I think. I was like, I just need to prove to myself that I've won, and I was still fighting everything. So I was like, I've finished the chemo, they've told me I'm okay, but I kind of need to prove it. I carried on fighting everything that I came across, really, and I never, and this all drew out over the following sort of couple of years, when I ended up having to go to counselling, and it resulted 2 years ago in my marriage falling apart, because I just still hadn't fully addressed everything that had happened over the last sort of 8 years as it was then, and B, I was still fighting everything. And I went to see a counsellor, and it was kind of one of those epiphany moments, if you like. And she said, she was brilliant. She just sat and listened. And I just sort of worked myself through a load of things, and she just turned around and said a couple of things. She's like, have you ever congratulated yourself? I was like, why? I was, well, because you won. Because you beat it. Have you ever stopped and said, wow, well done, and just giving yourself credit? I was like, no, why would you do that? It's, well, because you've done something pretty amazing, and you should give yourself credit for it. And that was bizarre. So I started to think about that, and she said, has anybody told you don't need to fight anymore? I was like, no. And that was like a real shit. Yeah, I don't have to fight everything. Some things are worth fighting for, but I started to learn to let go and just have a look at yourself and just give yourself credit if it's due, and then just take a moment just to think about what's going on and why you're doing what you're doing. And I've learned to do that, which is hugely useful. And the other thing is just talking. And it's something we bang on about in Movember. Men don't talk. Yeah, it's part of our campaign now is generally men's health, but we're just launching a big campaign over the next 2 weeks around suicide prevention. And it's about the fact that the men don't talk, they don't take action, and they die sooner than women because of it. Because men don't talk and share their feelings, they're more at risk of developing a mental health problem, going into depression or anxiety. 75% of suicides in the Western world are male, and that's because men present late to doctors, to GPs. They don't take action when there's a problem, and they don't talk about their feelings to their friends and family. And because of that, they're more susceptible to diseases. And a later diagnosis with anything, but especially a cancer, the later diagnosis, the worse the outcome. We kind of want to redefine what it means to be a man. The first thing you can do to be a man is be around and be alive, right? And that's just common sense. So that kind of needs to be the first definition of being a man, is alive, not dead. Whereas at the moment, being a man is like doing everything that's the most risky thing you can do, and if you die, then you were just giving it a go, and that's just the one of the consequences of being a man. So, and I used to do it, and I'm by no means a perfect modern man now, but I can certainly acknowledge that I'm a lot better than I was, and I talk an awful lot more, probably through working for Movember and being an ambassador and standing up on stage in front of 5,000 people and saying I've got no bollocks. Kind of makes it easier to open up, I guess. I used the term wrongly earlier, but I feel very lucky, and I say that to people, and they're like, well, how can you feel lucky? It's like, all this shit happened to you. It's like, yeah, but I'm here and I'm good, right?
What do you think for the next 10 or 20 years of your life? What do you still want to achieve? What do you want to do? What are your ambitions for it?
Christ, yeah. I still just want to be alive, I guess. That's still in the back of the head, always. I think that will never fully go away. The fear is sort of always. I won't get testicular cancer again, but it's impossible. That's one thing. But there's things like side effects from chemotherapy, sort of long term with heart disease, increased risk and things like that. So it always plays in the back of your mind. I'm on testosterone replacement, so that keeps me strong. So I'll be like Arnold Schwarzenegger when I'm 70, with any luck, because I'll still be taking it, probably like he is. Be around, still be able to contribute, and just have a great family around me. Again, manly things like looking after my family and being a good role model and bringing my daughter up and having more children and just being, so I've got sperm on ice, so there's options there. And just carry on, working here at Movember and seeing if we can get to the point that we're out of work as an organisation, and that's kind of driving me and making ourselves redundant, because if we can ensure that no man dies of testicular cancer and no man dies of prostate cancer, and we can get suicide down, then we achieve our goals and we're out of work, which should be the goal of every charity, I think, on the planet, although maybe not everyone thinks that way. But yeah, we're in the business of putting ourselves out of business.
The ability to change, and his is a very specific example, but we all go through moments like that in our life, and change is hard. It's hard to adapt to new things, and we find that we cling on to old patterns and use old tools that we've learned in our formative years, because without them we don't know how to go forward. But he really does strike me as someone who's been able to transform his life and transform his headspace, and it's incredible. They say that the opposite to depression is waking up in the morning, knowing what your meaning and purpose is, engaging with it, getting to the end of the day and just chilling out and relaxing and engaging in enjoyment, and all of this leads to the absence of negative thoughts, the opposite to depression. This is a man who realizes that what he's doing counts for something, and he's able to come back from one of the hardest things that anyone would ever go through and engage every single day with his life's purpose, a job worth doing. And I think that must be a wonderful feeling that's going to keep him healthy for a very long time.